If you are a criminal defense attorney, you will occasionally have to cross-examine the police. In fact, you're usually only cross-examining the police. It's rare that you actually have to cross-examine an alleged victim or an eyewitness. I'd say 3/4 of the time at least, it's a police officer that you're cross-examining. And I would say the average lawyer has to cross-examine an officer maybe 5 to 10 times a year. So, of course, all police officers are different, but I do think some general observations or general tips can be made. Now, first, and this applies to all cross-examination, whether it's criminal or civil, you need to be yourself and you need to be brief. Right? No affectation, be who you are. If you are a straightforward, blunt person, then that's who you should be during cross-examination. If you're a soft-spoken person, then that's who you are, and you shouldn't have any sort of persona when you go into cross-examination. Just be yourself. And be brief. Be as brief as you can be. So obviously this is a common sense thing, and you need to consider the circumstances. 99 out of 100 misdemeanor assault and batteries, the cop wasn't there and didn't see directly what happened. All right? So you do the cross-examination, just ask him, did you see the defendant hit the alleged victim? No, he didn't. That could be the whole entire cross-examination right there. If it's a murder case and the officer investigated the murder for months, then obviously it's going to be a much longer cross-examination, but it shouldn't be any longer than it needs to be. All right, so those are general rules. Be yourself, be brief. Now, with the police in particular, I would say that you should avoid hostility. All right. People love the police, right? Jurors, the public in general, but especially the people at the courthouse. All right. The prosecution, the judge, the clerk's office, they know the cops. The cops are at the court very frequently. Some of them, it seems like they're there on a daily basis. They know the court officers and the employees and so forth. So if you come out gunning for one of the police, trying to make the cop look bad, the court's going to turn on you, all right? And everybody's going to get that sense. So it's usually best not to become hostile with the officer, even though your client may want that, the client may love that. Nobody else likely does. Right? So avoid hostility whenever possible. The other suggestion or thing that's particular to police officers, you need to get ready for the I can't remember answer. All right? Cops love to do this. So if it's a neutral question, they'll answer it honestly. If it's a question that they perceive as favorable for the prosecution, again, they'll be honest. If you ask them something that's going to require them to say something that's favorable to your client or that's damaging to the prosecution, they're going to say, I can't remember. Right? Even though whatever the fact is, they wrote it into the report. They show up on the day of the hearing of the trial. They have the report in their hands. They're reading the report that they wrote. It's written right in there. You ask them, they're going to say, oh, I can't remember. Now, at this point, you have to do one of two things. If you can, just disregard it. Say, okay, and go on to the next question. I'll give you an example. I had a trial recently. The alleged victim bit the defendant's finger. Hard enough to break the skin. You could see the teeth marks. There were photos of the bite, and we had stipulated that the photos could come into evidence. So I asked the officer, "Officer, did you see any bite marks on the defendant?" And he goes, "I can't remember." Of course he did remember, but I'm not going to throw it in his face. I have the photos. I'm going to put them into evidence. I don't need to go down that road with the officer. However, you might have to get into this situation where you say, "Did you write a report?" "Yes." "And you're trained to do this?" "Yes." "And it's accurate?" "Yes." And then you bring into evidence whatever's in the report that the officer forgot during his testimony. All right? So when you're writing questions for the officer, if it's unfavorable, be prepared for the officer to say, "I can't remember." All right? And do you want to make him remember, or can you just go on to the next question? Keep that in mind. I've written a blog post on this, and I'll put it in the description below.